too wonky, but this is a government that essentially just kind of like had a big party and then took all its toys and is running away. They spent all our money. Then they saw there was a little bit of money left in the bank account, and they're writing one last big whopping check to clear it out. They're going to write off into the sunset. And we are going to be left holding the bag, and not just for the next 4 or 8 years, but for just decades. And we could have been spending the trillions of dollars that we were spending on Iraq if we had just taken that money and put it back into this country. Just think about where we would be now. We wasted, all these billions, trillions of dollars, but now we're about to spend another $1 trillion on this bank bailout, which is a direct result of the lax economic policies of this administration. We are being robbed. And we have got to wake up and kick that robber in the face and shove his butt into the street. Hopefully into moving oncoming traffic. So that's my main issue. And I think that the subset of that is that when you have a government that respects its people, then they do what the people want and not what they want. And this is an administration that they had these pet projects where they gave these no big contracts to Halliburton, and they were giving Halliburton these multi-billion-dollar contracts without having to compete for them, and then Halliburton took all those billions of dollars and moved to Dubai so that they wouldn't have to pay taxes. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, all right. So I would like a government that whose passion stops being about how rich they're going to get and starts being about how healthy and safe and rich they're going to make Americans. That's what I like to say.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you to Ms. Tyler and Ms. Menzel, Mr. Diggs, for this intellectually stimulating conversation.
Yes.
This was great. And it touches me in a special way to see folks who live very busy lives decide to selflessly make that sacrifice to come on to work on something bigger than themselves.
Yes.
So, I have one question. Who in here has ever wanted something so badly and it didn't work out? It didn't work out. Obviously, with electoral politics in our lives, maybe with certain schools that you wanted to attend, or certain things that you wanted throughout your life. We wanted it so badly, and we just came up short. In my life, coming out of high school, being really focused on high school basketball, I was first team All-State in the state of Georgia, and my passion was to make it to the NBA. Everyone told me that that's what you were doing. Our school had our first undefeated regular season in the school's history. Went to college, and like so many things in life, like I'm sure a lot of people in this room have faced, it didn't work out the way I planned for it to work out. It was in part because of some unfortunate circumstances, but it was also some really bad decisions on my part. But regardless of what the reason was, I was at home, and the same people that encouraged me so much when I was doing well were the same people that knocked me down, and I'm sure you all have experienced that as well. When you're doing well, people are really encouraging. But I bet, Ms. Tyler, when you were coming up, when you didn't do as well, some people also have some things to say about that. But I was in a predicament that many folks in this room are in from the standpoint of affording college. My parents didn't have enough money. I had forfeited my scholarships. But I tell folks, thank God for my grandmother, because she stepped in. And just like your dad, who was a meat cutter, and just like a lot of other people that grow up in families that don't have as much money, you need some help sometimes. And my grandmother stepped in, and even though she had just started a bake shop, her own business, working her entire life, and had just gotten her dream of starting a bake shop, she financed my way to the University of Maryland in College Park. And I say that to say, because my grandmother made that sacrifice, and just like Mr. Diggs and Ms. Menzel and Ms. Tyler making that sacrifice today, we all, this moment is calling upon all of us to make that same sacrifice. I cannot imagine being in a situation where my grandmother has to make a disturbing decision between purchasing her high blood pressure medication or paying her electric bill or helping out one of my cousins who has some kind of ailment or a condition that needs to be attended to. If, just like Barack says, if a soldier comes back from serving and we don't treat them like they should be treated, it makes us all less patriotic. Right. They talked about the dilapidated public schools. They talk about the dilapidated public schools. Well, we have to look at that as not, that's your child, but that's our child. Because that takes away the rights of my children one day when they're going to those public schools. Just like my grandmother, she suffered from that. That's just like your grandmother's suffering from that. So, I say that to say we are at a moment today. I've been on a campaign since South Carolina. It seems like an eternity now. From South Carolina to this point. And we are at the last weekend to register voters.